Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and this time we are talking about some Switch 2 rumors that we've been discussing recently, but now even more recently have become a lot more likely. And this is pretty good news. We're talking about some important features like backwards compatibility, but also some other things that have been going on, like some new bundles that Nintendo have announced that seem to be making it painfully clear that Nintendo is clearing out as much Switch hardware as they can to gear up for what's to come sometime next year. And that's what we're talking about today. But before going forward, let me point out that we are aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers, so if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and enjoy the ride as we talk about Nintendo every day. So Nintendo this morning had a new announcement. The announcement is, the Super Mario Party plus Red and Blue Joy-Con bundle is available on November 10th. The Super Mario Party bundle features a digital version of Super Mario Party and 2 Joy-Con controllers in red and blue colors. So here we have another Switch bundle on top of the recently announced Mario Kart OLED bundle, also the standard Mario Kart bundle, the Animal Crossing Switch Lite bundles, and also the Switch Sports bundle. There's a whole bunch of bundles. But actually, beyond everything we've just mentioned, there is another bundle that's coming. According to disc trackers on Twitter, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch OLED Edition is coming soon to Walmart. This is an OLED version that has the special Smash Joy-Cons that we saw with the original Smash bundle back when it came out. No longer the special dock, but a black dock that comes with an OLED Switch as opposed to the original Switch, as well as a download code for Smash Ultimate and 3 months of Nintendo Switch Online. This bundle is very much similar to the Mario Kart OLED bundle. Not too much is being added in terms of design to these special OLED editions. There's no cool trailer like we saw for the Pokemon one, the Splatoon one, or the Tears of the Kingdom one, but they are putting out different versions of the OLED packaged in with different major Nintendo games. And I think what this really hones in on is Nintendo doing everything they can to push out as many Switches as possible. And the growing sentiment here is that Nintendo is just doing everything to maximize their holiday sales for Switch as their primary platform this year, because maybe they're trying to clear things out, push things as much as they can before they start to market their Switch 2, which likely will be out by this time next year for the holidays of 2024, where a lot of these bundles won't be nearly as successful. So if you're looking for a Mario Kart OLED bundle or a Smash Ultimate bundle, well, now you know they're out there. But also, this is another sign, a visible sign outside of reports and things of that nature that, yeah, Switch 2 is coming. But there's another sign that has popped up recently that seems to be strengthening the argument for some different features we're expecting for Switch 2. Or at least at this point, I'm now starting to expect them for Switch 2. So recently, James Galizio on Twitter pointed out that Kuro for Switch has the Super Famicom button colors. Now technically we've known about this button overlay for a little while already, but the difference now is that this is still the case, and there are other games that have already come out that have this button overlay as well, and there was an argument being made that this could change by release, and it hasn't. Now, if you're not familiar with the Super Famicom button layout, it's basically what the Switch button layout is. Nintendo has kept that button layout where you have A on the right, B at the bottom, Y to the left, and X at the top. But on Super Famicom, which was the original Japanese version of the Super Nintendo, that version, those face buttons had different colors. A was red, B was yellow, Y was green, X was blue. And I would just like to clarify, because I've seen confusion on this in the past. This is not what the Xbox button colors are. Yes, they use the red, green, blue, yellow, but on Xbox, the X and Ys are swapped and the A and Bs are swapped, and the color orientation is just different. To the point though, we are seeing this game, The Legends of Heroes Trails 3 Daybreak, which is a translation of Kuro no Kiseki, it's coming out summer of 2024, and the Switch version has this button layout just like Super Famicom. And here is an image of Kuro no Kiseki, Trails Through Daybreak, on PlayStation, and here you see that the button layout is nothing like that. It's been changed for the Switch version. So the reason this is a big deal is because this is another game that has this peculiar button layout. We also have East X Nordics, we also have Fashion Dreamer. These are different third-party games that have these colored button overlays that are coming out around this time or in the near future. We also have Super Mario RPG, which has the button layout as well. Now, people have countered with Super Mario RPG saying, well, this is a remake of a Super Nintendo game. And this is true. It is possible that in the case of Super Mario RPG, the decision to go with this button layout had nothing to do with anything Switch 2. The Japanese version of Super Mario RPG had this button layout. Now, the localized version didn't. It was made to match the Super Nintendo, which had the gray and purple buttons. But what I find peculiar about this is that when you take a look at different Switch games, and I've taken a look at Switch games throughout the generation, you take a look at Mario Odyssey in 2017, Metroid Dread in 2021, and Tears of the Kingdom in 2023, all popular Switch games in different phases of the Switch lifecycle, they don't use the color button layout. This is a new pattern that has popped up where different games are showing these button overlays. Even in remasters or remakes, we don't see them copying the initial version. Here's an example, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. They aren't matching the Wii button layout, they are matching the Switch button layout. That is the norm for games on a particular system to put on an overlay of their buttons that matches its corresponding system that's being played on. So when you have these games like Fashion Dreamer and East X Nordics, and this Kuro game, as well as Mario RPG all popping up around this time, having this new button overlay, I think it's more than just a coincidence that they randomly decided for this one particular remake to copy the Japanese version of Mario RPG way back when there was another very popular version that isn't being represented in any way, shape, or form, and when other remakes just don't do that on Switch. But what makes this even more peculiar is that we have Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. We've discussed this before. And I've seen some people make the debate that this isn't the case in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, but it is. So if you look at the original GameCube version, they use the wide, bluish-green A button for the button prompts, as they should, because the original Paper Mario: 1000 Year Door was on Nintendo GameCube. They used the GameCube button overlay. And 1000 Year Door was a GameCube game, not a Super Famicom game. So using those buttons in 1000 Year Door, there's not really any argument for that. That would just be a very weird coincidence. And when you look at the A button, it's not the blue-green wide A button, it's the standard, normal circle A button, but it's red, as it was on Super Famicom. And we've also seen the Y button, which is green, and the B button, which is yellow. So the point to be made here is that we are continually seeing more and more games pop up with this button overlay that we have not seen throughout the entire Switch generation as we approach 2024. And if I'm just being honest with you, I acknowledge there's a possibility that somehow this is a coincidence, or maybe Nintendo changes their plan once the system actually comes out, but I do think this is a suggestion that Switch 2 is around the corner. I think these games are being future-proofed for a platform that's going to be using these colored buttons. The Super Famicom used the colored buttons not just because they looked cool, but because it was a great way to help tell it apart from the original Famicom. And the same can be said for when Nintendo reused this colored style on the new Nintendo 3DS to help differentiate it from the standard 3DS, because the name wasn't doing it any favors. And now we're hearing all these reports of another hybrid system that seems very much like the Switch, that will likely have some difficulties differentiating itself from the Switch, so Nintendo may need to take steps to make sure it's clearly different, and one way to do so is by using their tried and true Super Famicom colored button style. When you see that Switch with those buttons, there's gonna be no mistaking what it is. It's not the Switch, it's a sequel to the Switch. So yes, I do think Switch 2 likely has these colored buttons. Again, it's possible that this is somehow a coincidence, or Nintendo was considering this as an option but changed it before release. That is still up for debate here, but to me, what makes the most sense is that, yeah, Switch 2 is just going to have these colored buttons. It's not a big deal. But the bigger implication of this is that if we're seeing these different Switch games that are changing their button overlays going into 2024, where we expect Switch 2 to be coming out, so they can stay relevant on that new platform, the implication there is that they will be playable on Switch 2. In other words, backwards compatibility. You're gonna be able to play your Switch games on Switch 2, as the rumors have suggested, but here we're seeing some physical, tangible evidence that this is likely to be the case. And when we see a whole bunch of different random third-party games, nothing that's necessarily going to be selling millions upon millions, I think this indicates that not only we're getting some form of soft backwards compatibility, but true, legitimate backwards compatibility. You'll be able to take your Switch cartridge, plug it into your Switch 2, and it will play the Switch game, as we have understood backwards compatibility for the many years that gaming has been a thing. So of course, take this with a grain of salt, but I think I made it clear what I think is going to be happening. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.